Hi, everybody. This is Andy Bachman broadcasting live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm attempting to kick off a new series, a webcast series on topics related to climate adaptation and resilience, particularly for infrastructure. The series is called Prioritize or Perish, and while infrastructure may sound like a boring or clinical, dry topic, really the ultimate goal of this information sharing exercise is saving lives, keeping the economy going, keeping air conditioning going, clean water flowing, etc. And so in that attempt, I'm going to be describing all kinds of things that are related. The title, Prioritize or Perish, may sound a little bit harsh, but it really has to do with the fact that many, if not most of us, are distracted right now by a million other important things, including existential risks. This one, I posit, is the mother of them all, the biggest, and one that needs more people paying attention to it, even as big parts of the population are trying to deal with mitigation of greenhouse gases to try to slow down the warming, try to slow down the major events and things like that. So that's what is the unifying theory for this series. I've taken a couple stabs at it, previous recordings, and I didn't like any of them, and I probably won't like this one either. You may not like it either, too. So I just find that in this case, the very good is potentially the enemy of the pretty good. And once we get started, I think it can be improved over time. So what the heck? Sometimes you just got to put your foot out and get going to start taking a step. So that's what's happening here with this recording, for better and for worse. Along the way, I may use some phrases that are offensive or controversial for folks, depending on their stage of evolution in, what is it now, in early August 2022. I will be using the term climate change. I will be using the term global warming. If these things offend, I can maybe bleep them out in a separate version, but in most cases, I'll just be calling things what the vast majority of folks refer to them as, otherwise we'll be confused. I note, and you probably can note, a certain awkwardness already in the way this delivery is happening. I find that when I'm speaking to groups of people, either in a small group setting or on a stage in front of hundreds of people, for some reason that feels very natural to me and comes off generally from the feedback I get as positive. When it's just me staring into the camera of a laptop or whatever, I can't help but feel a little bit strange. And so please tolerate that until it smooths out. I think it will get a little bit better, but still seems awkward to me. We do a million Zoom calls and Teams calls, but those, at least there are people there and can interact with them. Here it's just my own voice droning on. And I'll try to limit the droning and bring this initial episode to a rapid close. Two more things. I think in each episode, this is episode 1, I'm going to put a headline and an image up of one of the more recent climate events, climate exacerbated physical events in the world, just as a placeholder to keep my mind on track with what it is we're targeting, what we're trying to combat. And also, if somebody comes back in a later date, in addition to having an episode number or a date, it'll also show you one of the more recent things that occurred within the last week or two of that episode. In this case, the one that I'm showing is the flooding from, as it says, the same large system hit St. Louis and Kentucky and brought mass devastation to both areas. And it's still in the early stages, in some cases, of cleanup, and sad to say, looking for more victims, more bodies in Kentucky. That event may change that part of Kentucky, anyway, eastern Kentucky, for forever. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't mean to dwell on any one particular event, just as sort of a marker, a placeholder. Last thing on this slide, on this screen, is I want to give people a brief preview of some of the topics that we'll be touching on in subsequent episodes. May go in this order. I may mix them up a little bit. I'll be taking suggestions for other topics too, but these are all ones that I've spoken at length on in various venues, speaking to folks in government, in business and academia and elsewhere. So the PoP, how I abbreviate prioritize or perish, the topic list I've got here is mitigation versus adaptation. I'm going to be doing some definitions, introducing adaptation and resilience, a particular framework that myself and some colleagues are developing for prioritization. Climate models, the way that more people are now looking to project what's coming at them in the future versus integrated resource planning, which mainly looks backwards and talks about things like 100-year heat waves or 500-year floods or 1,000-year storms. I'm going to posit that those terms are now outdated, and we'll describe more about the way climate models work and what their benefits, what their capabilities, and what their constraints are in that episode. Be talking about prioritization by consequence, building on the adaptation and resilience comments I'll make a few episodes prior. Definitely going to dive deep into insurance, the loss prevention side, fire and flood, recent book and excerpts from that. So I think that's going to be an interesting one because there's some levers there that could potentially change human behavior, change economic behavior in ways that will help protect and save ultimately more people. Regulation is what both guides crazy development or doesn't in places that are dangerous. It also describes how we can and cannot build. And so there are things that certainly have to happen. And you can see some of the organizations there that I'll be commenting on, bringing some of their statements to bear. Nothing changes in the United States of America without money, and many other countries do. And so financing is certainly the long, if not the longest pole in the tent. And we'll be talking about, again, riffing off of insurance, but going into credit ratings firms and banks and investment firms, et cetera, and what the part they're playing in this so far. Building codes from standard setting bodies like the American Society of Civil Engineers. We'll also talk about other standard setters like NIST and IEEE and how engineers and designers, they build infrastructure and build buildings according to those codes. And I'm going to suggest that they need to move faster than the codes are getting updated. And I don't think it's going to be a tough argument to make. How to do it, though, is a different issue. There's a great event series. I'm at the next to the last one here. There's a great series on extreme events that's put out every other week by the Department of Homeland Security and a fantastic young meteorologist who leads folks through all the things that have recently happened and are about to happen in and around the country and the continent and the world. So I think I'll want to tune you into that as soon as I can, maybe bring that up towards the top of the list. And I think throughout these webcast episodes, throughout these conversations, I'm going to try to sprinkle in what works. This is a term that I learned from a wonderful man in the cybersecurity business named Alan Powler. And he said, don't market to me. Tell me more about things that are actually working in the world. Show me something that's worked, and I'll be able to broadcast that more broadly. Actually, I'm not going to edit these things too much, so I don't think it was Alan Powler from cybersecurity world. I think it might have been Ron Ross from NIST. Some combination of those two guys, who are both wonderful folks from my cybersecurity background, insisted on not telling me what something claims to be able to do, but connect me with a customer, an end user, somebody on the receiving side who says, yeah, I use this approach, I use this product, this tool, and had really good or tremendous success with it. Those are the voices that we can take seriously and believe. Okay, so without further ado, I've kept this one under 10 minutes, which will be my goal for all of them, except for some exceptions. I hope it went down okay for you. I'm going to try to make them better and better each time. But heck, the journey of 1,000 miles, as they say, begins with the first, I guess in this case, recording of a webcast. Bye.